Dang, I got 10. Yes. Hit the record button on the computer. Do my snap to make sure that I have something to align. And okay. Sup, y'all? It's Dina, OG K-pop stan since 1998. And I don't know if y'all can tell, but this is my first time filming since what? I think the last time I filmed was the week before my trip to Sedona, Arizona for my sister's bachelorette. So, whoa, what? It's like over 3 weeks, almost a month of not filming. So this kind of feels really weird to me. Ever since I started this channel, or a reaction channel really, which was June 2020, I have not went that long without filming ever since then. So yeah, I feel kind of like rusty, I guess you can say. This will, I guess, be a soft comeback or a pre-release comeback, whatever we want to call it here within K-pop terms. I will definitely be resuming my K-pop content ASAP. I need it because not only do I need to do work, but also I need more new K-pop in my life. There's so much that I need to catch up on, and I'm like trying to scroll through Twitter. I'm like, don't get any spoilers. But anyway, I thought a nice topic to do my soft comeback with is the video that I have been wanting to make because of what I recently went through, which is the worldwide pandemic virus. And I was like, what better way or what better time to upload a video like this, which I personally think would be helpful for other loopies out there, than to upload it on World Lupus Day. And speaking of, I am wearing purple to support World Lupus Day, and I'll just stand up so y'all can see it more. Very cute shirt designed by my friend OGVIP / Taeyong and Youngbae and 7 Bias, Geraldine. If you happen to be watching this, major shout out to this shirt. And if y'all do want to get your own kind of shirt, and this is not me like trying to get any money off of anything. This is really me just genuinely promoting my friend who does really cute designs. I will have the link in my description box just in case you are interested. So let's just get right into the content of this video, or the topic of this video, which is lupus and COVID. Hopefully I can say that word here on YouTube. My reason for doing this, not just to have a video where I can monetize and get rich off of, like a lot of lovely comments like to say, but whenever I had battled COVID the last, couple of weeks, I was reaching out, or I guess looking for some kind of sense of community, because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all loopies. Loopies is a word that we describe each other, like, like lupus warriors, lupus fighters, lupus survivors, whatever. But loopies is just cute. Loopies, spoonies, whatever. So yeah, I don't know if it's just me as a loopie, but whenever I get sick, whether it's a flare-up or especially going through something like freaking COVID, I always search for a kind of sense of community so I don't feel alone in what I'm experiencing. In case this is your first video on my channel, I do have 2 specific types of lupuses. SLE, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, but basically where it's where lupus is in my kidneys. And I think the term is CNS lupus, but basically lupus in my central nervous system, hence why I'm able to unfortunately get seizures and a stroke. Okay, let's get started. And y'all will see me looking here a lot, like to this direction, because I do have notes. With my brain fog, not only after COVID, but freaking lupus in general, I'm gonna need notes, like little post-it notes. So I'm gonna be reading, talking, this and that, whatever. And it might be a lengthy video because I do want to cover 2 weeks that I had needed to be able to battle through lupus. Not lupus. I wish we could battle through lupus. Battle through COVID, being someone who has lupus. Yeah, I want to give as much information as possible, just because, again, I would have liked this information whenever I had first started battling COVID. Of course, we can never pinpoint where and how and when basically where and how we get COVID. We can never really pinpoint that unless it's something super obvious. But in my case, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I went to Sedona, Arizona. And to y'all from Sedona, Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona, major shout out to y'all's charming freaking city. Whenever I was there, I was like, I am so relaxed. It's just unfortunately I am ending my trip with COVID. But Again, we can't pinpoint where and how we got it, right? However, in our case, the group that traveled to Sedona, half of us got COVID and the other half didn't. So when we do the whole common denominator kind of thing, if I had to guess, I believe I may have caught it through a layover at a specific airport because our flight was delayed, so our layover was even shorter, and the freaking gates were so far from each other. We need to run. The main thing that was on my mind is for me to not miss the flight. So I ran through the airport without a mask. That sounds really bad for someone who has lupus and is immune compromised. And also, before I get even more into the video, I want to say let's keep politics BS out of this, okay? I am here to talk about my health experience about health. I'm not here to be like, did you get the jab or please wear a mask? I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm specifically talking about my experience. So with that being said, I am vaccinated and plus with a booster. But yeah, I ran through the airport without a mask and boom, I think that's how I got it. So I went on April 20th. I returned April 23rd. Throughout the trip, I did feel kind of off. And when I say off, I mean kind of like burning sinuses or just basically like just that burn feel that you feel here. But me being from Houston, where our sea level is like here, and in Sedona, Arizona, sea level being like here, and especially going from like a more humid tropical, I won't say tropical, but humid weather to super dry weather, I just thought that was it because I am very sensitive to even just seasonal allergies. And even when I went to Vegas something years back, the dry weather there totally just got to me. So I just assumed it was that. So yeah, I returned back April 24th, no, 23rd. And then I officially felt symptoms 2 days later. And the first major symptom that just made me feel like, okay, I have a feeling that I unfortunately caught the virus is a sore throat. I typically do not get sore throats for no reason and out of nowhere, and especially the kind that kind of stays. Like sometimes my throat will feel off if I'm filming for a long time or if I'm talking on the phone with someone for a long time, but it doesn't stay versus that sore throat that I felt on the, what would they, 25th. It was not the same. So I was like, oh shit. And then I scheduled to have a PCR test at Walgreens on what day was that? I'm looking at my notes, sorry. Oh, the 27th. So I scheduled it for 2 days after. I'll go more into detail about this whenever I get there, but I counted my day 1 as the day after, meaning April 26th. Because when I started feeling the sore throat on the 25th was like towards the evening. So I just wanted to count the first full day after as day 1, just because that's just my choice. There's no reason for that. And again, I will go more into detail whenever I get to the whole days part. But I counted the 26th as my day 1. And let me see, what did I write for day 1? I did write a diary throughout my whole experience to make sure to be able to have details for y'all. Day 1 is when I started isolation, meaning not only avoiding going out, but not sleeping in the same room with my partner. Because of course I did not want to get him sick. And luckily we have a wide enough living space in order for me to be able to sleep somewhere else, and he sleeps there. We sanitize, we just stay away from each other. So let's see. Day 2, which is April 27th, that's when the coughing and congestion started, and it came on like full blast. It didn't even ease in. It was just like boom, switch on, cough attacks, major congestion. What else did I write? And that was the day that I did start Robitussin, which is the cough medicine. You can start whatever kind of cough medicine you want, but Robitussin has always been a healer for me, I guess you can say. And also day 2 is the day where I did my PCR at Walgreens. So there's that. Then day 3, which is April 28th. The PCR test usually doesn't come until like 2 days later. And the way I was feeling, the way I was like just quickly getting worse, I was like, yeah, this is the virus. I don't even need to wait for the PCR. So with that being said, I did take an at-home test and it was full on solid line positive. I majorly, like, it was like as if all the symptoms that I was feeling wasn't already enough of a confirmation, boom. At home test was major solid line of, yeah, you have the virus. Sorry for you. What else I write there? Yeah, I wrote symptoms got amplified, and I wrote like all these lines under amplified. And I guess, and that would be considered day 3 for me. And it's funny because I always hear about day 2 and 3 what is when the symptoms like really get bad. And I agree. In my case of me having the virus and experiencing what I felt, that was definitely when the symptoms went from here to like out of this frame kind of here. And when I say that, I mean that's when I officially lost my taste and smell. And at the time, like right now, I'm kind of on a, I guess, wedding diet. Not really a diet because I don't believe in diets, but I just try to stay within my zone so I can still fit my dress. I am my sister's maid of honor. So, but with that being said, my doctor was like, screw any kind of diet, just eat food that you like. Because trust me, you'll want to test around with your taste buds and your smell because it may be altered. Altered is a very light way to say it. I completely lost it. My partner had brought me home an Impossible Whopper with fries, and that's like definitely a cheat meal for me. I typically don't go for fast food, but I can't deny an Impossible Whopper. A Whopper in general, I just love that charred burger feels or taste smell. But whenever I got it and I bit into it, it just tasted like I was eating solids. There was no taste. There was nothing. Ate fries, salty fries, tasted nothing. It was just like, imagine you, I'm trying to think of something that's tasteless and solid. Just imagine something tasteless and solid and you chewing it and you eating it just because you know you need food in you to have some kind of energy. So, and then I did the test of trying to smell coffee. And then the bigger test of trying to smell peppermint essential oil. Those who are familiar with essential oil know that peppermint essential oil is strong AF. So considering I was basically like, I usually put essential oil in my hand and then like smell it. I was like jamming it up my nose and I couldn't smell shit. I was like, shit. So, what was it? Yeah, day 3 is when that happened. And what else? Major congestion. It's crazy because I always hear about the fever being like a big thing, right? In my case, I mean, there were times where I felt feverish. And when I say feel fever, it's just you just don't feel right. It's like this kind of a head sick. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just a weird feeling that just stays right here. But of all the temps that I did get to record or at least tested with the thermometer, the highest it went up to was 99.8. So maybe a low grade fever, but nothing really bad. The thing that was so bad for me was the congestion. I've never felt congestion like I did whenever I was battling this virus. It was like where I was talking like hello. I'm talking like I have COVID. I was talking like that. I sounded like freaking SpongeBob in that one episode where he had the bubbles and like that's what I felt like basically. So, yeah, the congestion was so bad I could not breathe and I was getting paranoid because I was told that severe COVID is one of the symptoms is where you have a hard or like short of breath. But later I got confirmed that not being able to breathe because congestion and short of breath is something different. Considering that everything was so bad, I did reach out to my nephrologist's nurse to let her know that I did test positive for COVID at home. And I was still waiting for the PCR, but I told her about all my symptoms. And I fortunately got Paxlovid sent to my Walgreens or my pharmacy, which is Walgreens, right away. And I did start with the evening dose because I didn't want to wait for the next day. I just wanted to start it right away. So Paxlovid is basically a medication that is specifically designed for COVID. And I'm not sure if everyone is able to get it. All I know is that I was definitely more than, I guess you can say, able to get it because of who I am, having lupus and then having COVID. So I just need the extra help. Yeah, so I started Paxlovid and Sudafed that evening because I needed to not talk like this, I needed to breathe somewhat. So yeah, that was day 3, which was definitely a very heightened symptom day. Then we go on to day 4, which is April 29th. And this is when I was like, okay, Paxlovid is definitely a kind of a magical medication for people with lupus, because I did start to feel a little better. And when I say a little better, it doesn't mean, oh, okay, everything's all good, because I still had no taste or smell. But when I say better, I just mean my congestion was at least on and off. Like there would be times where I sounded like sick SpongeBob, and there were times where I felt like I could at least breathe somewhat through both passages, like my mouth and my nose. What else did I write? Still felt the head sick for sure, but no fever or anything. But however, on day 4, by the evening, what I noticed is my blood pressure spiked really quick. Prior to the spike, let me see where that way. So around the evening before I went to bed, my blood pressure was like within the 120 over 80-ish, like kind of semi-normal or just decent, I guess you can say. And then, I said goodnight to my partner. He went his ways with my dog, and I went into my, isolation room. And when I laid down, all of a sudden, I just did not feel right. I felt this panic. It's like just this like heightened panic that goes from here all the way up to the top of my head. It's something that I always feel whenever I know that I have a spike in my blood pressure. And I thought, you know what, Dina, you just letting anxiety get to you. Just do some breathing technique. That didn't help. All of a sudden, my hands and my feet got really tingly and numb. My hands started to sweat. My heartbeat started to race. Like I put my hand here and I just felt it go doo-dum, 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 like it was going freaking fast. What was that sound? And then my legs started to get numb. So I was like, FML. I tested my blood pressure again, and it went from like 120 over 80-ish to, what did I write? I wrote the detail here. 167 over 118. And that was within a span of 10 minutes. And in my history of lupus and what I've had, because I have had a mini stroke in my past and several seizures, I'm always told to go to ER if my blood pressure spikes up that quick, because I want to at least rule out anything major like a stroke or a seizure. So seeing that it spiked up, and of course my panic and anxiety increasing didn't help. My partner did end up calling the ambulance, and they took me to a close by hospital or ER. But it wasn't like a, I guess, an emergency. I guess it's just like a trip for me to make sure to clear anything out. So, I mean, I was at the ER maybe 3 hours at most. 4. So when I went in there, of course, I stayed isolated from everyone. I stayed masked up. Everyone in the hospital knew that I was COVID positive. I made sure to say that because I'm courteous. And so I stayed distant. They got a room for me. I was in there. They did the whole thing of getting my blood work done, and they also took some chest X-rays just to make sure that my breathing was okay. And so after waiting around, they checked my blood results and my chest X-ray. Good thing is that nothing showed that was off the norm. Like everything was okay. So prior to the ambulance coming to get me, I did pop a second dose of my blood pressure medication. Usually I take half a pill, and I popped a whole pill before they came, because I wasn't going to wait to get to the hospital for them to give me something for my blood pressure to go down. Basically, what I was told at the ER is that the new strain of the virus tends to give people a heightened blood pressure. So there's that, right? There's lupus that, for my type of lupus, or the way it affects me, it already naturally gives me higher blood pressure, hence why I'm even on blood pressure medication in the first place. And being on Paxlovid, I also was told that Paxlovid can heighten your blood pressure. I was on Robitussin as well, and then Sudafed. So all that on top of my already daily medications, which is Xarelto, blood thinner, Keppra, seizure meds, Celsep, immunosuppressants, prednisone, steroids for my lupus, folic acid, pantoprazole for acid reflux. All that together was just basically the perfect potion for me to have heightened blood pressure. So I think that's just what it was. So I was instructed to double up on my blood pressure medication and stay testing it, like, aware, just while I'm still battling COVID, I guess you can say. And I did, let me see what did I write. The next day, which is April 30th, I woke up actually feeling a lot better, meaning less cough attacks. The cough attacks were so bad. It just felt like something was constantly poking, like inside my throat, my neck. Something was just constantly poking, like, oh, you want to have a cough attack. So the cough attacks were bad. But by April 30th, the cough attacks, I noticed that it started to lessen. The sore throat was gone. I just no longer felt feverish, and I no longer felt that head sick, I guess you can say. But um, my both my ears also finally popped. For several days, I couldn't hear. It just felt like somebody had their hands over my ears the whole time. But I remember yawning, and when I yawned, I felt it both pop, and I was like, "Oh man!" It just felt like surround sound, kind of clear. But unfortunately, I got a headache after that, and I guess this is when the COVID headaches came. Whatever kind of headache, I just know that it was a headache. What else did I write? Another good thing is that I noticed that my taste and smell started coming back, maybe a good 25%. I didn't smell everything like crazy, and I didn't taste everything to its full tasteness, I guess you can say. But I remember that day I ordered lubies, great old comforting food. And I remember when I opened the box, I was like, okay, I can kind of smell the mac and cheese. I can kind of smell the salt. So that was definitely a very happy feeling for me. When you lose taste and smell, it's just, it made me think back to the days when I was still doing chemotherapy. But those days were even worse because not only did I lose taste and smell, chemo had changed my taste buds. Everything just tasted like metallic, warm saliva. Sorry for the TMI, but that's just what it was for me. So even though I did lose my taste and smell throughout COVID, I was like, hey, at least it doesn't taste like metallic saliva. All right, so I did stop taking Sudafed that day because I felt the Paxlovid was enough. Then we're on to day 6, which is May the 1st. Let me see what I wrote. I wrote cough attacks lessening, and that was the last time I took Robitussin, actually. I only took it once that day. And then I chose to stop even though I was still having that lingering cough, just because I didn't want my body to get dependent on a cough medicine. But also, I was like, the less new medication I take, the less issues I have with my blood pressure. So I had omitted the Robitussin after the morning dose, and I started this specific tea that one of my lupus friends, Amy, if you're watching this video, major shout out. She had recommended me a very specific sore throat healing tea, which I will also link in my description box in case you are interested. And it's also pretty delicious as well. I just like licorice root herbs, but that helped a lot. But if y'all don't are not big tea fans, all you have to do is really just drink water with lemon. If you want some boiled ginger along with it, those are very healing elements. What else did I write? I My partner, this was my day 6. So it was his day, I don't know what day it was of him being exposed, but he took an at-home test and it showed negative, which was of course a, great yay thing, but we still chose to isolate just to be safe. Day 7, which is May the 2nd. That was the first day where I had uninterrupted sleep. I slept 10 hours at the least. And even though it felt really good to rest my body, when I woke up, I had a major headache. I don't know if it's just because of everything that's happening or because I slept too long. So there was a headache, and I noticed that the fatigue came, the crazy fatigue, even more fatigue than I would typically feel with lupus. But the good thing is my taste and smell did start to improve, meaning I was starting to be able to taste things a little more. And I really do believe, I mean, no scientific fact or anything, so I'm just saying that, and this is no confirmation. It's just my own experience. I do feel like Paxlovid did a lot of the magic there. And I did reach out to my PCP, and she wanted to see me on May the 3rd, which is day 8 for me. I went in the office, and at first I was like, are you sure you want me to come in? Because I think I might still be positive for COVID. But apparently you're most infectious the first 3 to 5 days, and that was day 8 for me. And I know, or what's being told is that even after day 5, it's to be courteous. You can wear your mask 5 days after. Just to be courteous of others, and that's what I'm all about. So I went to the office masked up, and I asked her a bunch of questions because I was like, not only do I want to know it for myself for the future, but to be able to share the information here with y'all. And before I get to my whole notes from my PCP visit to share with y'all, I do want to make notice that day 8 is the last dose of my Paxlovid, and my only remaining symptoms left are the on and off cough attacks, the major mucus drainage. Again, sorry for the TMI, but I'm gonna give y'all the 411 here. Major drainage was which also triggered the cough attacks, and the little bit of headaches left, and still the major fatigue. Major fatigue, as in me taking. It was weird. From this day on, for several days, every day around 5 p.m., my eyelids felt so heavy, and I would fight trying to not take a nap because I personally don't like taking naps in the afternoon just because it makes my day feel weird. But my body needed it. So I did take like 2-hour naps for several days starting from this day. But yeah, on to my notes that I got from my PCP. Before I continue, let's just have this halfway point of this video. I think it's gonna be halfway. To again make notice that this is not a political thing. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, whether it's about the jab or wearing a mask. I'm specifically just sharing my experience battling the worldwide virus, being someone who has lupus. So keep that in mind before I get comments like, don't tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. My channel is 99.999% K-pop, and the rest of the percent is peace and love. I'm not here to stir up any BS. Okay, so on to my notes. I know I will also notice or make notice that I am considering how unfortunate the situation seems, I still consider myself very fortunate because I was able to get Paxlovid ASAP. And I have the right kind of support system, whether it's my family, my partner, my friends, y'all who have very graciously sent me donations and tips. And especially to my Patreon crew who are still there, even though I'm not there because of all this. Um, but and also I'm very lucky to be able to afford seeing my PCP and asking these questions, and to maybe hopefully have y'all not have to go to PCP and or like see a primary care physician, and hopefully my notes will help. So I'm just gonna read the questions that I asked and give what I was or tell y'all what I was given answer wise. So my first question for my PCP is, what would be considered day 1 of COVID? Is it the day that we have symptoms, or is it the day that we have a positive test? Something like that. So my PCP and my nurse who is that works my nephrologist, which is the kidney specialist. They both said day 1 would be considered the day that you have symptoms. So she had told me that I could consider April 25th, the day when I had my sore throat, the evening I had my sore throat, that could be considered day 1. But if I want to stay safe, I can count the first full day after the symptoms as day 1. So that's what I did. My next question was, when am I not contagious anymore? And this is when she went into detail about the first 3 days being where you're extremely infectious and contagious, and it can go up to day 5 to be courteous and safe. So yeah, the whole thing about me seeing somewhere and being told by others who have experienced COVID that the first 3 to 5 days is when you're the most contagious. That does not mean that you're not contagious after that, which is why it's recommended for you to, if you want to be courteous and be safe, to stay isolated from others that you live with, like in my instance, me and my partner, and to wear a mask if I do go out. Hence why I wore a mask when I went to go visit my PCP. My next question, I said, because I know and I've read and I've seen that people can test positive for weeks and sometimes even months after. And I asked, does having a positive test does that mean that you're so contagious? And fortunately, that does not. That's why they say the whole 3 to 5 days being most contagious you are. And And the reason why some tests can still show a positive result is because the particles of the virus is still in your system and working its way out. So if that's detected, the test will just show positive in general, but that does not mean that you're contagious. That's what I was told. And now being over 2 weeks after all that BS started, I believe that that's also, I can vouch for that, I guess you can say. My other question. This question is because we have a dog, and I was like, I want to still cuddle her, but I don't want her to transfer any COVID particles to my partner. My PCP said the chances of that is very unlikely unless I deliberately cough onto her during my day 3 to day 5 and then hand her to my partner and he rubs his face or whatever, like something like that. It's like you're almost asking for it. But I was still able to feed her, walk her, hold her. I just made sure that like if I felt a cough attack coming, I would put her away, cough into a mask or a tissue or anything. And after that, I wash my hands and stuff. You know, you follow protocol. What is my next question? So I did wear contact lens and makeup throughout the trip, and I was like, my question was, do I need to throw those away or what do I do with those? She said, if I didn't have any kind of crust or like an eye infection or anything, the contact lens should be safe, especially if you follow contact lens protocol of keeping it clean. She said I didn't have to throw away my makeup, but if I want it to be safe or if I'm just paranoid and if I can afford to throw it away, the ones I used throughout the trip, feel free to throw it away. And luckily, I did bring the certain makeups that were like pretty much almost finished and definitely my cheaper makeup because I was like, being in Sedona, going on hikes, I'm not going to wear that much makeup. So I gladly threw those away. But I was told that you don't have to. But me being paranoid, I was like, yeah, I'll just throw away this almost done cheap makeup that I have. And my other question is prevention. Even though I've been told a lot about how to prevent as much as possible. And I did admit to my PCP that I was a lot more loose throughout this whole trip because I did go to Hawaii last year while still following protocol, meaning basically continuing to have my mask on before I step into the airport until I step outside of the airport. That's what I did last year when I went to Hawaii. This year, when I went to Sedona, I was definitely a lot more loose. And but I didn't get on myself for that because I'm only human. Things have been okay, quote unquote. So it was, as humanly relatable, I think, as this is. I didn't think about wearing a mask, especially our whole recreation of running through the airport like Home Alone scene style. So she said, one, me being who I am, with lupus and being on immunosuppressants and stuff, and COVID being more tenfold on people like us, uh, to wear a mask. To wear a mask, to stay distant from anyone that you see coughing or looks, suspicious as far as them being sick. Um, Try my best to not touch any railings, and that's another thing that I know I did in that whole run through in the layover. On the sides where that, what do you call it? The Not really an escalator. What, I can't think of the word right now, but they have railings, right? And when I was running, I was holding on to the railings, and a bad habit that I have is clearing my bangs a lot, doing this a lot. So that could have been a way I got it. But either or, she said to wear a mask before I get into the airport and whenever I exit the airport, just keep it on because of lack of good air circulation within the airport. People do travel when they're sick. People do travel when they had this virus just because that's their decision. I'm not here to judge. That's just what it is. So I can't expect everyone in the world to, stay home, to wear a mask, to this and that, right? But what I can do is protect myself. So yeah, one thing wearing a mask throughout the airport, whenever I'm in anywhere that's closed off or I've had to be like within someone close, stay masked up or just stay distant. Anything I touch that I know is not clean, that I can't trust to be clean, use hand sanitizer or clean your hands. And I specifically ask these questions because I do still have my sister's wedding to go to, which is next month in Hawaii. Luckily, her wedding is outdoors, and a lot of stuff that I do whenever I'm in Hawaii is outdoors. So I will definitely make sure to go back on at least keeping my mask on and not touching. And if I do touch things, sanitize or wash my hands before I touch my face. Like basically, stay a lot more aware. Major 100% on situational awareness. She did tell me that for the future, if I ever do happen to unfortunately possibly get COVID again, let me knock on wood. She said once I feel symptoms to reach out to her or to my nurse, my nephrologist's nurse, right away to get started on Paxlovid, because that would help with a lot of the symptoms that came up. Because let me flip my page back. I had the sore throat on April 25th. Yeah. So, but that was like pre day one. So, had I had reached out to my PCP or my nephrologist's nurse then and started Paxlovid then, I think a lot of my major symptoms could have been prevented. But so that was day 1, 2, 3, 4. So I didn't reach out to them about my sickness until I think day 3 or 4. So yeah, that's I guess another tip I have for y'all if y'all can or have the ability to get your hands on Paxlovid dose. I think those are about 5 days of dosage. Get started on it right away whenever you feel symptoms. At least that's what I was told. And yeah, so those are my questions for her. Did I have anything else? No. Day 9 and day 10, which is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. And May the 5th, my symptoms were kind of consistent, which was fatigue. The remaining coughs and drainage would cause me to cough. But luckily, this is when I started to notice that I had no more headaches. And my taste and smell was improving more and more by the day after my last dose of Paxlovid. So then I did do an at-home test and I had my partner do one as well just to be safe. And we luckily tested negative. So it took from me counting day 1 being the full day after my first symptoms, it took 11 days for me to test negative again, at least at home. My PCP did say that I didn't have to take a test anymore. You know, the test is really just for your first symptoms, you know, like the beginning. I didn't do another PCP at a Walgreens because, again, I was just told I didn't have to. We did end isolation, meaning I went back to sleeping in the same bedroom with my partner and my dog. But I did choose to not kiss him until at least by day 14 because the whole thing of like, you know, symptoms can start from day 2 up to day 14. So again, I just wanted to be safe. I did not want my partner to catch COVID, especially since we're less than a month away from going to Hawaii. And also, I just don't want to see him sick. I know what it felt like, and I just don't want him to feel it. So May 7th, which is day 12, my fatigue, I noticed, started to slowly fade away. I didn't have those like naps I tried to battle off. I had more energy, so I started to do more indoor things, meaning I don't know if y'all find cleaning or organizing therapeutic, but it is for me, especially when I wasn't able to do work or anything, not even work out. I just wanted to let my body rest. But I did organize around the house, clean, sanitize what I know I did touch, you know, just keep myself active. And I definitely had enough energy to do that. And if anything, it kind of made me mentally feel better. To do something like organizing and cleaning, it just made me feel like, okay, I'm on my path back to my norm, you know, lupus norm. What else? Oh, day 12, I did try to film because again, there's a lot of K-pop content I need to catch up with. And I am desperate for new music and just to be updated. But I did try to film, but the first minute of me doing the whole stop, y'all, welcome back to another video, all that, within a minute I started coughing because my throat was still like, nah, you're not ready to freak out over K-pop yet. So with that being said, I will be resuming my K-pop content ASAP. If I'm able to talk throughout this video without having a cough attack, I think I'll be okay to have a comeback, K-pop comeback on my channel. So yeah, let's see, what else did I write? What's the date today? Oh yeah, okay, today's the 10th. So May 8th, which is day 13, I started to feel normal. I did still continue to drink that tea that I mentioned earlier, and I did continue to do light activity. I started to do 30 minutes of walking on the 8th, actually, just walking around the house and following a YouTube walking video. Just to put activity to slowly regain my normal energy. And day 14th, which is yesterday, I was like, all right, Chris, which is my partner. I was like, baby, like we kissed again. And so yeah, I think I am now in the clear and able to give the big middle finger to the worldwide pandemic virus that gave me a pretty hard time the last couple of weeks. But again, as unfortunate as my situation may have seemed, I still considered myself fortunate because I'm still here to be able to tell y'all the tale. And two, having the support system I had from my parents to my partner to my friends to y'all. Um, so yeah, I'm not the kind of person that I don't care how unfortunate my situation can seem. Again, from COVID to chemo to almost dying 3 times in a hospital, I choose to see things as a half full glass versus a half empty. There's a really fine line between seeing a half full and half empty. No, yeah, half full and half empty glass. The glasses of life for me are always half full because I had the perseverance to battle whatever wants to try me. You know, in the beginning, whenever I first was officially diagnosed with lupus in 2015, I was always down in the dumps. I was always like, why me? Why me? And now my mentality switches to try me, try me. So yeah, this is gonna be the end of my video, I guess you can say. If y'all did watch the whole video, or if you did choose to share this video to others who may find this helpful, whether it's to others who have lupus, to others who are immune compromised, or to others who care about others who deal with all that, I appreciate y'all very much for watching my video, for sharing my video. Again, this is my note to my subscribers and viewers and just my Patreon crew, my YouTube crew. I need a name for y'all, by the way. I do plan to resume my usual K-pop content very soon. I'm not sure exactly when. I don't want to say a day or date yet, just in case, because of my case. But it'll be definitely very soon because I can't be away from K-pop too long. I just want to make a video that hopefully helps others out there. I definitely hate living with lupus, but at the same time, part of me, the half full glass mentality in me, sees it as a blessing in disguise because it made me not only appreciate things in life that I didn't before, prior to my lupus diagnosis, but it made me realize a lot of the perseverance and strength that I had in me that I wasn't aware of. So, okay. Anyway, yeah. Happy World Lupus Day. I hope you have a great day. And until my next video coming up on my YouTube, peace.